Matthew, I'm so happy to be speaking with you today. It's been so long, so it's so great, and you look great. So I just wanted to ask you when we first met, where you were at in your life and what kind of things that you come to discover about yourself since when we first met and when we started to work together. So what did your dream career look like and what was holding you back in your life from going after it?
For sure. I think the best way to start at this was like right when I finished high school, which I think is a really pivotal moment for everyone. At that point, you feel like you can do anything in this world. And for me, I had finally like been in singing in a rock band, which was like a childhood dream of mine for years. Unfortunately, our band had to disband because we were all going to different schools, and so I ended up going for business school. But with that ambition and like that love for music, I was like, I want to work in the music industry. I want to work in entertainment. I fly across the country and I start a business school. And here, everyone wants to do the classic corporate Wall Street suit and tie kind of thing. And it was really hard for me to fit in and sort of seek out my own path because I couldn't find anybody that was doing it. So what was holding me back? It was just I didn't really feel a sense of self anymore. I felt like the only way to keep going was to just blend in with everyone else and sort of go with the flow, because if I did that, at least there was a direction. And so in university, I started going a more traditional corporate route. What ended up happening at the end of 2020, obviously it's not just easy to go with the flow if it's totally not your thing. And so what ended up happening was I was fighting two sides of myself. There was the fun, more creative, expressive side of me that I tried to channel through like other hobbies. And then there was the side of me that was just so dead set on this new path that had been assigned to me, this box that I was in. And my stubbornness said, I want to fit in this box. I want to fit in this box no matter what. 2020, the world comes crashing down. And frankly, I lost my original job offers in like, I think February or March. And so here I am, I'm supposed to be a 2020 grad in school. My job offers are gone from this box that I'd worked so hard to try to fit. The other side of me, the fun, playful side of me, is like completely miserable because my last 4 years felt like it gone apart. And that's essentially where I was right before I met you.
Wow. Can I be honest with you? The way you presented yourself, you would never have known that. So that's interesting. So where did you go from there after we started to talk a little bit? What kind of changed for you?
For sure. So at that point, it's kind of crazy because we're reflecting on 2020, right? And so those first few weeks, I suddenly got space from that box from school that I was in. So I started doing more things that I liked. I started picking up, learning how to do music production. I started watching more movies. I started doing things that like I personally would enjoy doing. If I had like all the time in the world, what would I do? I'd make music. I would watch movies, that sort of thing. And so then, we live in the age of the internet. So once I started doing that again, I realized just how awesome it is to let my mind wander and explore those things. And so I think I'd searched up, might have been Live Nation or some sort of like career related events there, because I was like, you know what, it's time to resume my search for a career in entertainment. And there just happened to be, a session that was coming up for crafting your story, how to get a career in the industry. And that's where I just happened to land in and Deborah, you were speaking. And obviously, like, it's not the first career session I've ever been to in my entire life, right? But what I really liked about your session, particularly what spoke to me, was the fact that you weren't telling me to fit this box. You weren't giving me, do this, do step one, do step two, step three, and then this will happen. You'll become a successful person and your life will be awesome and you'll have the best job ever. Instead, there was no instructions. You just simply said, let's do some digging. Let's look inwards. Tell me about yourself. I want to know who you are. Do you know who you are? And do you know where you want to go based on that? And that spoke to me a lot more simply because, frankly, those are the same questions that were going through my mind, my like existential crisis, like a month prior when the pandemic started.
Wow. Incredible. And what did we come up with, or what did you come up for yourself at that point, Matthew? Then did you become convicted on following that path of who you were and what your passions were? We talk about in your room, before your mom called you for dinner, did you go back to that place? And then how did you start to craft from there?
For sure. It took a little bit of time. It wasn't instant, but I just remember in our first session, what you gave me was we had the to-do list. We had, which was really just a list of like my 10 favorite accomplishments. And I emphasize it's my favorite accomplishments as opposed to the accomplishments that I would put on a resume if somebody asked me for it. And so in that sense, I really got to go back into the kid inside of me, right? So I was thinking, oh my gosh, like I remember in second grade, like my teacher used to share my, like everyone in second grade writes these little stories about their day and that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, my teacher used to share my stories in front of the whole class. Like I completely forgot about that because in school, all I'm doing is spreadsheets, but like I used to do that. I remember doing like a mini like comic book publishing thing with a couple friends in like sixth grade, right before we graduated elementary. Like, oh, I started that myself. Middle school, even before, like I used to think that my greatest accomplishment was like being in a band in high school. Middle school, I formed like 4 different bands. They all sucked, but the fact is like I kept trying. I kept trying things. I kept throwing things at the wall. Even like I think 2011 or 2012, like I put myself on YouTube. I was very young, frankly, and obviously like if I'd look back, I'd be cringing at what I was, how I sang and that sort of thing. But it's like I was trying. I was putting myself out there and really trying to show not who I am, but the person I want to be. And I think that was really huge because at that point, I guess my more traditional learnings of what to do with your career is like, this is who I am. This is what I've done. I'm so successful. You should take me. But that's not the truth. Like at the end of the day, I got to realize like I'm still young. I have the opportunity to sort of go on my potential. So I want to show people where I want to get to, and I want people to jump on that journey with me, so that we can move towards it together.
Oh my God, I love that, Matthew. So what after you started to transform and really feel the difference in yourself? How were you able to articulate that to this? I think it's the career you're in now that just blew me away when you wrote to me about what you're doing, putting on the first ever and the most successful with BT, that band. Tell me how you got into there, what happened from there. So we worked on your story, I remember, and really getting back in touch with that love and passion you had for movies and entertainment and music, etc. Tell me where that took you after you realized that about yourself.
For sure. So the first thing I did when I was in university, like I had tried a little bit just to talk to different people and alumni from my school that might be in industries that I was interested in. And so I think, this took a bit of time after working with you, but what happened was I started reaching out to those people again. But the way I contacted them wasn't quite the same, in the sense that before I go, hi, my name is Matthew. I am interested in your company. I would love to work here. Please give me 10 to 15 minutes of your time. Sincerely, Matthew, right? Instead, I really just put myself out there. Like I gave them a bit of my story as well. Like I used to do this in high school. I did this and I went to this school because I wanted to learn how to really build a career doing what I love, with marrying it with, the skills required to do it. And, I'm trying this thing. I decided I'm going to try a podcast. And this podcast is about, we called it Creators Calling. And it's really just about how can people build their careers in 2020? How can they follow their passions? And looking at your story, you didn't take the conventional path like I did. I saw that you went straight into advertising as opposed to Wall Street, like a lot of other people I've talked to. Can we talk? Because I think we might have a little bit in common. P.S. I saw you're from this place. I'm from this place. Here's a little like photo postcard because I'm a photographer. Would love to talk to you. So here I am, like really just putting myself out there. And when they responded, they're like, absolutely. And I'll just sort of wrap up that conversation I had with them when they said like, I've appreciated that you've kept in touch throughout the years. And I feel like I've gotten to know you and your aspirations and who you are. And that person later was essentially the person who got me my interview and turned out to be my final round of my interview. So it was sort of like an easy win when I realized that, because we just connected really well. They liked the way that I wrote my email. They liked the things that I talked about in my email. It really connected with them. And so like that's just an example of how I started to like, again, show who I want to be, and try to find people that want to get on that journey with me.
That was a huge game changer, is that it sounded like you kept bringing your authentic self and that value that we talked about, that you just don't keep going back like, oh, I want to work for your company. I want to work for your company. It's like, oh, and I want to share this, or I want to know this about you, or I've read about you guys, and that staying in touch. That's incredible. So what are you doing now, Matthew?
So right now I am the IP marketing coordinator at a entertainment tech company called Wattpad, based in Toronto, Canada. What we are is essentially the world's largest reading, writing, storytelling platform. We have over 100 million monthly users from pretty much every single country on this planet. We're extremely international. And what we do is when people write their stories onto their platform, we help support the stories that are really gaining potential, and we help connect them with opportunities for these authors to start making a living. So we give them monetization opportunities on our platform, but we also work with studio partners like Netflix, Amazon, and such, and we help bring those stories into movie theaters or on streaming platforms. So for me, really what the fun of it all is that I get to work on watching these stories from the start, from like when it's written by a 12-year-old and it's like a cringy YouTube video that they put out, right? Just like something that I would have done, and then helping them grow it and polish it and make it better. And then how can we grow that? How can we connect it with people that will connect with that story as well, right? How can we get people to jump on that journey with this author? And then eventually, how can we take it to a point where maybe this story might be picked up by Netflix or streaming platform of that sort.
Oh my God. Can you give my listeners two examples of that, of working with the band now? You had written to me about the two big things that you recently did.
For sure. So the first project I got to work on, frankly, like I think within like my third or fourth month at the company, was we got to work on the release of official fan fiction licensed by popular band BTS.
Yeah.
And so what we got to work on was like helping to craft those stories about the band and them living in a fictional world, like fighting demon tigers and that sort of thing, and then helping to grow it for popularity and making sure people get to enjoy it. So that was the first project we got to work on. That had like a web comic or web manga part to it. There was like a video creative part to it. There's a music part to it, and of course there's the story part to it. Lots of fun. We got to engage with the fan base, which is the largest fan base on the planet. So I just remember like on a Friday night, we were all sitting there. We had a Times Square takeover going on, and we had a bunch of like engineers sitting around because we were worried that once the release drops, like so many people are going to come to our website that it might crash or something. So we had all that support on hand, but it was really exciting just to like refresh Twitter and just watch all the hashtags just like blow up instantly. Um, and it was just fun to connect with the community in that sense. So that was a huge project for me. I loved it because suddenly I was working on music. I was working on it with
Yes.
fans in a really fun way. And beyond music, like again, there was movies, there was storytelling. So that like second grade kid who liked writing also got his fill, as well as that, high schooler that was singing in a band. So every part of me was being satisfied. And, the corporate suit and tie guy who loved spreadsheets was also getting his fill. So, I was happy the whole way. The other project I got to work on was one of our most popular titles on the platform called A Través de mi Ventana. It is a Spanish title. It's a romance teen fiction, but it was gaining so much traction on the platform in the past few years. It had an incredibly engaged audience that just absolutely gushed over this love story of two high schoolers set in Madrid, Spain. We got to work on bringing it from essentially a Word document into a Netflix film. And the film ended up, we had like a screening in Madrid in Spain. There was a whole red carpet and all of that. And in the end, on the release day, again, same thing. It was just so fun watching the fans like engage with the actors, the actresses, all this fun promo stuff. And we ended up being the top movie for Netflix International for the week, which was really exciting.
I'm like speechless, to be honest with you. I've had so many like chilly moments right now on my arms because the way you speak from your heart, doing what your heart wanted to do as a 12-year-old, I think there is nothing better in life than to be doing that and to be so synergistic with who and what you are with what you do. Incredible. Are you going into the office?
I'm working remote for now. However, I've been in the office a couple times. And this is kind
That'd
of
be
like,
cool.
yeah, it was fun because just bringing it back to like, again, like you want to project out the person you want to be. You want to tell your story because you want the people that join your story to also, they have to be people you want to be around with, right? It's not just enough to like get that dream job, but it turns out like your boss hates you, right? That's not a fun thing, right? And so going into the office a few times was really exciting because I just remember it's sort of like, what is the company social, right? And
Yeah.
my friends have talked about their socials, and frankly, it's not, the examples they gave me were not something I'd really be interested in. Whereas mine, we went for karaoke on the first time, and I was like, wow, that one requires a lot of vulnerability. But two, it's like if people want to do that, that says something about the kind of community I'm in. And frankly, I love karaoke. so just more and more signs that like this is a company and like a team and a bit of a family that I want to be myself in. Yeah.
Oh my God, Matthew, this is incredible story. An incredible story in the story. Tell me when you got that email, because I know you struggled, like you said, when you got that email or phone call that you were hired for this position, did you cry? Did you yell? Did you go out for a drink? Well, like what in that moment did you feel?
I think the craziest thing for me was just realizing at that moment the goal that I had set in when I graduated high school was that I wanted to work in the entertainment industry. For the next 4 to 5 years, I had like, that didn't seem real to me. I almost tossed that away. And then when I finally got that job offer, I was sitting there and it was sinking in like, holy crap, I did it. Like I actually did it. That high school version of me would be like jumping up and like punching the air and, like crazy. And I was like, I was just thinking about it like that. This is happening right now. I'm taking my first step into literally going in the direction that I want to go for the rest of my life.
Oh my God. And look at the successes you have already garnered by being there such a short period of time. And that is incredible. Matthew, lastly, what would you tell other young professionals like yourself trying to pursue their dream career? What do you think are the like most important elements in finding your dream career as it relates to what you discovered about yourself?
Hmm. Let me think about how I would say this. For myself, when I was younger and through school too, I didn't believe in myself. I was really fighting a war between um, the box that people gave me and my stubbornness to fit that box versus the person that I always was, the person that I always wanted to be. Um, and for me, it wasn't an easy compromise because um, I wanted to do both, frankly. And for me, like a lot of times I was always disappointed where it's either I felt like I didn't fit the fun, playful side enough because of this box that seemed to be dragging me down, or it was like if I go in all in on this box, I'm I'm just gonna hate myself. And really what I realized there was like you just have to believe in yourself and don't limit yourself to either to being in the box or out of the box. Just chase what makes you happy, do all of it, be multidimensional, and really just look at your life because you have, you know, 18, 20, 30, however many years of your life where you've done different things and there's reasons why you did it. So really just do the things that make you happy and do them to the fullest.
Oh, that's great. Matthew, I am so happy for you. And listening to you really conveying, I mean, you're so confident now. You have such conviction in your speaking abilities, and you're right, that kind of a Goliath thing that was like going on with you can really take you down a rabbit hole. But you got out of it, literally threw the dirt down it, and are like on top of the hill. So I am so proud of you. I'm so grateful for the ability and the ability to have worked with you, even for a short period of time, for you to discover that about yourself. And I'm just so happy you're on your way. And I can't wait to see you at the Academy Awards. Well, I won't see you there. I will be looking at you there as you receive your award. And I'll go, I knew him. So keep doing what you're doing. And thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Deborah. It was such a pleasure to work with you, and you really came to me at like such an important moment in my life as well. And like just like I wouldn't be here if not for the way that you really helped me open up and really give me the space to play and do my thing.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Matthew. Bless you.